In my last video, I demoed an app called Daily Journal. And in this video, I'm going to demo a QucklyWidget that made it much, much easier to write Daily Journal than it would have been. That widget's called TextEditor. And what TextEditor does is encapsulates a lot of the functionality that you usually have to write by writing a lot of code to a text view. So I wrote a little app here to demo it. Let's pretend I'm writing some kind of, I need some kind of text editing in my app. I set up an edit menu. Doesn't do anything yet, but I set all this up. And I also added some buttons here just to make it so we can add some functionality, test some of the functionality in TextEditor. But as you can see, there's no TextEditor yet. So the first thing I'll do is I'll go ahead and add that functionality. So I'll go down here and I'll import the text editor in the normal way that you do with a Quickly widget. I'll say quickly.widgets.text. Oopsie. Text editor import text editor. So that gives me a reference to the class in the text editor module. And now I'll go down to the finish initializing function. This is the normal place to set up your window on first run. First thing I'm going to need is an editor. So I've created a text editor. Now I need to show it. And now that he's visible, I want to add it to the window itself. So I already added a scrolled window in Glade. So I'll just use the builder to get a reference to that scrolled window. Scrolled window 1, and then I'll just add the editor. And that should be enough to now have some basic text editing in there. As you can see, it added a text editor, and it's got some basic functionality that you get with a text view built in. So, hi, this is a text view, right? So I can type in it, but you can see none of these functions are hooked up yet. So let's do that now. So if this was just a text view instead of a text editor, this would take a ton of code to write. But let's start here. I've hooked up that cut menu item to this cut text signal handler, and all I have to do is call cut on the editor. It's just a one line of code. And then you can see I can select something and call cut, and it works. So I don't have to get the buffer, I don't have to deal with itters. All I have to do is call that one simple method. And in fact, there's similar functions already set up for copy and also for paste. So now you can see it's just a few lines of code to get a cut, paste. Let me try something new here. And also copy functions. So cut, copy, and paste are now just one-liners. So no mucking with the text buffers or itters or anything. Just call those one-liners and they'll work. Now you may know there's something here that's not working, which is undo and redo. An undo and redo, if you've ever written an undo-redo stack, you know that there's a certain amount of effort involved. But as you can guess, these are also just one-liners. Oops. So now I can just make a one-line call and wire up the undo function and another one-line call to fire up the redo function. And so now you'll see I have paste in there twice. Now you'll see I have an undo and redo stack built in for me automatically. So now I can undo undo, 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 and redo. And so undo, redo built in automatically. Huge time saver. Now, the other functions in there that you may have seen are prepend, append, and replace. So uh, inserting text and manipulating the text within a text view is pretty onerous typically for a text view, because you have to figure out where the cursor is, you have to move the cursor, you have to use all the itters and all the text buffer functions. But these are also, as you can imagine, as you could probably guess, just built in. So I'm going to append. Append will add something to the end. So that'll add this to the end. Oops, edit, oopsie, editor.append. And as you can guess, clearly prepend will do the same thing. But at the beginning. So prepend will add at the beginning. Okay, so now you can see I just wrote some functions that'll add things to the end, add them to beginning, but you can also just replace all the text. So the editor has a property called text, and then simple matter of assignment to get or set the text. Let me spell beginning right. Okay, so now I have those, just with one lines of code, I have those buttons hooked up to do something interesting. So first I'll hit replace, and this will add the text for me. And then I can call append to add something to the end, and I can call prepend, add something in the beginning. So I'll show you again. One line of code sets the text in the whole buffer for you. One line of code can append something. One line of code can prepend something. Huge time saver with TextEditor. So there's one last feature that I want to demo, which is that it has highlighting built in. So you can just add strings that will be highlighted in the editor. So let me show you just quickly how to do that. Self.editor.add highlight Ubuntu, and self.editor.add highlight quickly. So these two function calls add these words and tell the text editor to always highlight them when it finds them. So then I can say quickly makes it easy and fun to program for Ubuntu. And there's highlighting built in. So that's the text editor, a few lines of code to interact with your text editor. So now you can add text editing to your apps in a super fun and easy way.